Hello everyone, my name is Halina Baeva and my research proposal is titled The Consequences of Psychological Trauma and Migration Stress in Elderly Russian-Speaking Immigrants. This topic was inspired by my practicum experience at a Bainbridge Adult Daycare Center, Brooklyn. I became interested in understanding how trauma, displacement, and cultural barriers influence the mental health of this population. Many of these individuals lived through political repression, war, and major cultural change. Now, as immigrants, they also face isolation, language barriers, and the stress of adapting to a new society late in life. The Russian-speaking community in the United States numbers over 2 million people, and many of them are older adults who immigrated after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Research shows that psychological distress among this population often manifests as somatic symptoms, physical pain, or fatigue rather than open expressions of emotional suffering. This is compounded by stigma toward mental health care and mistrust psychiatric systems. Recent political tensions have intensified stigma, leaving many elderly immigrants feeling misunderstood or even targeted because of language or nationality. These combined factors highlight the urgent need for culturally competent, trauma-informed mental health interventions. My study draws on three interconnected theoretical perspectives. First, trauma theory explains how historical and migration-related trauma can have long-lasting psychological consequences. Second, ecological system theory situates individuals within layers of social influence: family, community, institutions, and policy which interact to shape their well-being. Finally, the social construction of difference framework, as outlined for Rosenblum and Travis, helps us understand how language and ethnicity can become master statuses that define how others perceive and treat these individuals. Together, these frameworks allow for nuanced understanding of how trauma, culture, and social systems intersect in this community. My literature review included 15 peer-reviewed studies on mental health, migration, and adaptation among elderly Russian-speaking immigrants. Across these studies, consistent patterns emerged. First, depression and demoralization are widespread, often expressed through physical complaints rather than emotional language. Second, language barriers and cultural stigma lead to both underdiagnosis and undertreatment of mental health conditions. Third, community-based organizations and social networks play a critical protective role, providing emotional support and practical assistance. Finally, most existing research focuses on Jewish subgroups from the former Soviet Union, leaving gaps in understanding other ethnic and linguistic variations. This is also a lack of longitudinal research and evaluation of culturally adapted interventions. The central research question guiding my proposal is: how do psychological trauma and migration stress influence mental health and adaptation among elderly Russian-speaking immigrants in New York City? My hypothesis is that elderly immigrants who report higher levels of trauma exposure and lower levels of social support will demonstrate great psychological distress. The goal is not only to confirm this relationship, but to illuminate how individuals interpret and cope with these stressors in their daily lives. To explore this question, I am proposing a qualitative study using semi-structured in-depth interviews. This design allows participants to share their experiences in their own words and highlight aspects of their lives that standardized survey might overlook. The study will recruit approximately 15 to 20 participants, all aged 65 and older, who identify as Russian-speaking immigrants living in New York City. Recruitment will occur through adult daycare center, community organizations, and social networks using purposive and snowball sampling to reach individuals who might otherwise be hard to contact. Interviews will last between 30 and 90 minutes and will be conducted in Russian or English, depending on participant preference. Data will be analyzed using thematic analysis following Brown and Clark's 6-phase process. This approach enables the identification of key themes related to trauma, migration stress, resilience, and adaptation. To ensure validity and reliability, I plan to use peer debriefing, member check-in, and in vivo software for systematic coding. Like any quantitative research, this study has several limitations. Because of purposive sampling, results may not be generalizable to all Russian-speaking immigrants in the United States. Recall bias could influence how participants describe their past traumas, and translation may affect subtle meanings. Additionally, the New York City context, where there are many resources and Russian-speaking organizations, may not reflect the experiences of immigrants in smaller communities. Finally, discussion trauma carries emotional risks for participants, so I plan to provide informed consent, ensure confidentiality, and have referral options for counseling services. Findings from this study can guide social works in developing trauma-informed and culturally competent interventions. Training bilingual and bicultural providers will help build trust and reduce barriers to care. Integration mental health education into community programs such as English classes or senior activities can help normalize help-seeking behavior. By listening to immigrant voices, practitioners can create services that respect cultural values while addressing psychological needs. From a research perspective, the study will contribute to a limited but growing body of work on aging immigrants and trauma. It can inform future longitudinal and comparative studies examine how acculturation, discrimination, and resilience interact over time. From a policy standpoint, their findings can support initiatives such as forensic credential recognition, anti-discrimination campaigns, and sustained funding for bilingual mental health programs. Ultimately, it underscores that mental health equity is inseparable from social inclusion. In conclusion, the psychological well-being of elderly Russian-speaking immigrants is shaped by complex layers of trauma, migration stress, and cultural identity. By combining trauma-informed, ecological, and social constructionist frameworks, this proposed study offers a comprehensive understanding of how social work practice can better support this vulnerable yet resilient population. The ultimate goal is to transform insights from lived experience into ethical, culturally grounded interventions that promote dignity, healing, and belonging. Thank you for watching, and I welcome your questions or feedback.